my kid had a meltdown in public. All the details plus how to get through coming up next.
Hi, I'm Caroline. I'm the trauma mama. And if you don't know me, I'm married to Josh, and we have 3 kids who were adopted through foster care. This channel is all about raising kids who have experienced trauma, raising kids with special needs, and some basic simplicity parenting hacks.
All right, so here's the thing. Yes, my kid had a meltdown in public. Actually, I have a kid who has meltdowns in public quite frequently. So my son has exaggerated emotional outbursts. So they are pretty extreme. Literally, I've described to his therapist that we can't tell if he's cut off a finger or dropped a crayon. And that is not an exaggeration. So one night we were at a birthday party. This is pre-COVID. We were at a birthday party at a pizza place, and I can't remember what had happened. I think his fork had fallen and he knew he couldn't get down between the chairs to reach it. But instead of saying, "Oh, I dropped my fork," he just started screaming, crying. Now, if I can't tell if he's cut off his finger or dropped a crayon, guess what? Neither can anybody around him, and they don't know him. And so here's what I do in this situation, and here's what I've learned. The best way to help my child is to not engage in his huge emotional, not get all panicky. What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? How can I help you? What do you need? And instead just be like, when you're calm, I will help you. Here's what's really hard about that. When you have people watching you who see a kid who looks like he just cut off his finger and they look at me and I'm like this, they think I'm crazy. So step number 1, and I think this would apply to anyone, not just people whose kid has them as frequently as mine or as intensely as mine. Any tantrum in public is pretty intense. I've definitely, kicking, screaming over something simple. And if you are just standing there and people are looking at you, do you start to get a little bit hot? Suddenly you think they turned the temperature up about 10 degrees. The thing is, if we focus on the people watching us and what they think, it's a lot harder to focus on ourselves and our child. So I literally visualize that we are totally alone. I get tunnel vision and I'm only focused on my kid. And I've decided everybody around us, I can explain it later. And you know what? Sometimes I do. I'm even thinking of making a card that says he's okay. Or, he has special needs, something like that, just to be able to flash it. So if you need something like that to help you, absolutely use it. My husband has a really hard time blocking out other people. So the idea of people are watching, people are judging is very upsetting for him. It is for me too, but in different situations and different circumstances. So one time this fall, we were on a hike and he tripped and fell. His physical development is delayed, and so he's very clumsy. So he tripped, he fell, he was hysterical. So again, the people behind us who now had to wait because we can't be closer than 6 feet, they're thinking, this mom is not understanding her kid, probably needs stitches. But I had to focus on him first. That day, there had been a couple other things. So my anxiety level was a little bit higher. And so I was feeling, I don't like making people wait. I think that's probably what it was. I don't like people have to wait for me. And so the idea that they had to stop and wait while he is screaming and not standing back up. And by the way, he was fine. He did sort of have that torn skin on the palms, which I'm sure it did actually hurt. So I had to take a breath, do the narrow vision, focus on him first, and block out them. I got him up a little faster than I probably would have if we were alone, but I got him up, gave him a hug, we went on our way, and then I was sort of able to give them a little wave he's fine. He's fine. Again, they probably still thought I was really heartless, but they are not who matters. Just believe in yourself and your approach with your kid. Now, let's talk about some scenarios. Comment below if your kid has a very unique temper tantrum story, but I have a great one for you. It comes from my friend Sarah. I wanted to do a video call with her so that you could see her too, and we could do a whole interview on it. but her work schedule and mine just aren't lining up. So I'm sure we can interview her again another time because she has great stories. But she was at the grocery store and she had two of her kids with her, an 8-year-old and a 3-year-old, yes, 8 and 3. And the 3-year-old was screaming like really loud. Believe me, this kid, he can be loud. And she was like, you need to stop screaming. Like, you need to use an inside voice. Starts out the trip like all the great parenting things. But he didn't stop. He kept screaming so loud. So it made her then rush. Her anxiety went up. By the time they got to checkout, she was so drained. Gets the kids in the car, and guess what she finds out? I don't actually know how she found it out. The 8-year-old was telling the 3-year-old, scream as loud as you can. How mad would you be at your 8-year-old right now? Well, somehow she was able to got the kids in their car seats, shut the door, probably screamed. I'm going to visualize, Sarah, I don't know if this worked for you, but I'm going to visualize that she just looked up and screamed as loud as she can, and then got in the car and turned to that 8-year-old and said, that was not helpful. It is really important that if you want to come to the grocery store with me again, you need to be helpful. I want you to write 1,000 times that you are sorry, or whatever it was, I think she then was able to focus on her kid. She was frustrated. She was frustrated when she called me and told me the story, but being able to just handle it is really the important piece. So, I guess I am really fortunate. My kids don't have total tantrums over me saying no to a chocolate bar. First of all, they know the chances of me saying yes to a chocolate bar are pretty slim, but they do have tantrums around other things. And remember, watch the video where I talk about, take a picture, add it to their wish list. That really helps. But if my kid has a meltdown in public, it's more going to be, let's see, for Dylan, it will be random, unpredictable, and really intense. For Christopher, it's predictable, but I sometimes forget where his trauma lies. And so things like a doctor's appointment will be really hard. He will run away from me. He will try not to listen to the adults. He feels very scared and vulnerable, but it doesn't show as scared. What it looks like is, what would you say, Josh? It looked like when you were at the dentist.
Defiance.
It looks, thank you, that's the exact word I needed. It looks like defiance. It looks like I'm the smartest person in the room and I don't care that you're a doctor or that you're a nurse. I don't have to listen to you. And he'll crawl under the table and he'll be goofy and do little, hula dance, maybe pull his pants down and show him his butt. I don't know. It looks like defiance. It's actually fear. Deep-rooted fear. And so I have learned and worked with this therapist around recognizing what he's feeling, what he needs in that moment is, one, the more prep I can give him, like, hey, when kids go to the doctor, the expectation is that they stay right with their parent. And we're going to wait in a waiting room, not anymore with COVID, but we're going to wait in a waiting room. Then they call us in, we step on a box so they can measure us and see our weight. Then we go into another room. So there's like a system that happens at doctor's appointments, but all of those things are really upsetting to this kid. And so anyway, so sometimes doing the prep ahead can help, not always. And so in the moment, it's like, how do I rein him in? First, I have to know what he's feeling. And so being able to say, I know you're really scared. Would it help if I gave you a hug? How can I help you? We need to get through this appointment. What will work for you? Those are really good things to try. But again, I really value that the medical team knows that I'm a good mom. So it used to be really upsetting to me to have a kid who looked pretty elevated. That was really hard because I really value medical professionals and I want them to see me as very capable. But again, having to make it about my kid, get through the situation and not worry about what they're judging. Have you ever been at the store and a kid is crying or being obnoxious and it kind of annoys you, but then their parent is like, I'm gonna smack you, and then suddenly you're like, oh yeah, the kid was annoying, but your behavior toward the kid is actually making me even more stressed out. I guess I point that out because usually if people are judging and you really can't let it go, just remember they're not really judging you on your kids' behavior, but your reaction to their behavior. I guess that was my point. So comment below if you have a funny or scary or like totally unique temper tantrum story, and it could probably help someone else. So the next time your kid has a tantrum in public, try some of these things. Take care of yourself first, focus on them, worry about everybody else after it's done. See you next time.